1,000 per word. A lawyer from Krasnodar was fined for posts in the Telegram social network in which he used the word war. Russian security forces counted about 30 of them in 9 publications by Mikhail Benyash since February 24, 2022. The lawyer was fined 30,000 rubles, that is 1,000 per word. This is not Benyash's first fine. In April 2022, a protocol was already drawn up against the lawyer for the discrediting the military because of the phrase "no to war."
I feel like a slightly muzzled dissident from the late Soviet Union. Although, what are we talking about? Modern Russia is the late Soviet, with the same KGB and the supreme role of one single party, and all those who disagree are dissidents. Well, how to call us? The opposition? Mikhail Benyash, lawyer on Telegram.
The article about discrediting the Russian army seemed to be especially liked by the Russian security forces and judges. There are already more than 5,000 sentences with this wording. Discrediting is imputed for almost any public action related to Ukraine. A resident of Vladimir was fined 30,000 rubles under this article for picketing with a placard "No to war" during the Father Frost race.
Статьи о военной цензуре.
Articles about military censorship, the so-called discrediting of the armed forces, the article about fakes is used as a tool for gagging. They are brought to administrative and criminal liability, for example, for words spoken aloud. It is easiest to imprison under these articles because they are written specifically in such a way that anyone can be imprisoned under them.
But if the articles about discrediting or fakes for 11 months of a full-scale war against Ukraine, the Russian security forces have already worked out to automatism, then they are only mastering a new practice. Now Russian prosecutors are not only accusing people of treason, a new trend is to suspect the intention to commit it.
Several individuals involved in the spy cases ended up behind bars under the same scheme. They were detained under false pretenses at international airports and border checkpoints, on their way to Georgia, Kazakhstan or Turkey, and sent to a special detention center for minor hooliganism. They were never released from there, ending up in the pre-trial detention on charges of treason, attempting to defect to the side of Ukraine. From an article of the BBC Russia.
In Russian reality, no one is concerned about the crime or the evidence. For Russian law enforcement officials, it is not even that important whether the person really intended to do something. The desire itself, whether expressed in conversation or personal correspondence, is enough.
Из практики, которая сложилась.
From the practice that has developed, I can say that this is most often the messenger's correspondence with a person whom the investigation considers to be somehow connected with Ukraine. When the Federal Security Service investigation collects evidence, they will bring a certificate and say, according to an anonymous source, some trustworthy, this person is collaborating with the Security Service of Ukraine. That's all, nothing else is needed.
Besides quotes from correspondents or online comments, the Kremlin security service have plenty of that. In fact, as Putin's regime was built and strengthened, methods of spying on Russians were practiced. And with the start of a full-scale war, spying only intensified.
For example, Yandex, it is completely under the control of the Federal Security Service, and they see every step, every path that users take. Different methods are used, you can call it that, and they depend on who is being followed, for example. If this is an ordinary person and, for example, information regarding his connection is established, then his activity in social networks is analyzed. The channels he goes to, what posts he writes, what messages he sends are analyzed.
In order to hide from Kremlin surveillance and subsequent reprisals, experts recommend using pseudonyms and not revealing personal data online. And in the case of detention, do not sign any protocols and do not agree with the charges, and immediately turn to human rights activists. Reported by Roman Smoler, Ksenia Barvinenko, UATV News.